early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the bride.
Good morning. Good morning. Isn't this a great and glorious morning? All right. All right. I am Senator Vincent Hughes from the 7th Senatorial District. Thank you for coming to this important event where we honor our veterans and place a memorial again on this great monument that has moved to such prominence. We'll talk about that shortly. However, before we begin the program any further, we must have Reverend Joseph Williams, retired from the United States Army from the Mount Airy United Fellowship Church, come up and provide us our invocation. Pastor Williams.
Hoorah! If you don't know what that means, check with somebody, they'll tell you. I certainly want to thank God for being here this morning. The old hymn of the church says, I once was lost, but now I found. This monument was lost on purpose, but now we found it. Come on, give God a hand clap. Let us pray. Our Father, our God, we thank you for this, we thank you for that, and we thank you for the other. We thank you for giving us this beautiful day free of charge. We thank you for those who went and couldn't come back. We thank you for those who went and didn't come back. We remember Christmas addicts, Dory Miller, the late Sergeant Cecil Moore, all of those who fought for this country and have to come back here and fight this country to stay for freedom. We thank you for doing all you do for us daily. Thank you for listening to us. Help us to remember when we can't, God can. And when we won't, God will. Amen. Thank you.
Now, some of you will say, well, what is Senator wearing that West Point hat for? All right? He didn't go to West Point. There's my mother. Hey, Mom, how you doing? All right. He didn't go to West Point, but my son just graduated from West Point in May. And I talked to him last night. He's in Fort Sill, Oklahoma, doing that heavy artillery thing. There you go. And he's in training to become a ranger. Danger is no stranger to this ranger. I heard of that. To provide some history, some context, some understanding of why we are here and what this is all about, Philadelphia is blessed with having probably the most noted historian of African American culture and history in the nation resides here in Philadelphia. He's got a special event going on this afternoon at 3 o'clock, and I know he wants you all to come out there after you leave here. But while you get yourself ready for that this afternoon, please give a warm round of applause to the co-founder of the African American Museum in Philadelphia and the founding member of the Pennsylvania Black History Committee, our friend, Charles Blockson.
It is indeed an honor to be here today to take part in this historical occasion. This is a historical occasion. I had the opportunity in 1947 in an all-colored Boy Scout troop in Norristown, Pennsylvania, to first lay my eyes upon the statue, this all-colored statue honoring colored soldiers and sailors. But along the way, I have met others who participated in other events. For instance, no matter where we look in our history, African people from the days of Crispin Attucks and Salem Poor and Peter Salem and Bunker Hill and Boston Massacre and so forth, we were there. We were also there, including the 5,000 or more. They say 5,000 of our people participated in the Revolutionary War, but there were more. But however, we were served as blackjacks. What are blackjacks? My good friend, longtime friend, Bill Cosby will talk about the blacks in the Navy in a few more minutes. Blackjacks were black sailors, hardly a ship that sailed from any port of the Continental Army that didn't have a black gunner or seaman or either blackjacks who paved the way for the Underground Railroad that went by the water. They gave passengers who were seeking freedom, those blackjack sailors on the Underground Railroad in the Revolutionary War. I also want to talk about informers. Our ancestors participated not only as military people, but spies and informers. James Amistad was a master spy under the beloved Frenchman, the Marquis de Lafayette, who was a general. And also Yarrow Mammoose, a black Moor. Some of our people are called Moors. He gave up his enslaved name, became a spy. But perhaps the most important black spy of all was a man by the name of Black Sam Francis. Samuel Francis, you should know, he has the oldest tavern in New York City in Wall Street. He was served as steward. He was a restaurateur, as steward in two President White House, or President House. White House came later, President House. He's served as a spy. He fed the British soldiers when he was captured in New York City. And he also served as a spy connected with Benedict Arnold. So we had our ancestors participate as spies, informers, and whatever. During the Revolutionary War, this is important. In February, it's already taken place in Canada, you will hear of the Book of Negroes. The Book of Negroes, where over 3,000 people of African descent during the Revolutionary War went with the British. Some of them were former military members of George Washington Continental Army. Women and children went to New York City, and at Francis Tavern, they signed what is the first act of reparation. It didn't come from African people. Reparation came from white people. General George Washington and other slave owners who held our people in captivity, they wanted money from the British. So when you hear reparation again, no, we weren't the first to ask. Who was the first? General George Washington asked for reparation. In February, Cuban Gooding and Louis Gossett will participate with a setting at Francis Tavern where the Book of Negroes was signed. Francis was betrayed, denied his ancestry right here in this city of so-called brotherly love in New York City because he was born in Jamaica, near the Blue Mountains, and near St. Catherine. He also later came to Philadelphia. As I said, I had placed a historical marker for him down near 2nd and Front Street. Francis also had a grandson, very important. Yes, we can go to Union Lake today, can't we? We can go to Union Lake, but do you know that Samuel Francis, Black Samuel Francis' grandson, William D. Kelly, was one of the founding members of the Republican Party and the Union League, and a good friend, intimate friend of Harry Tubman, Frederick Douglass, James Ford, let me say a few words about James Ford. He also was involved in the Revolutionary War. He, as a powder boy, he became a salesman, made a lot of money, and gave back to his community. Yes, let's talk about Valley Forge. At the Boy Scouts 7 miles away in Norristown, same Boy Scout camp that came down here, went to Valley Forge on the Scout Jamboree. What did we see? Nothing. We said, why are we here? There's nothing here for us. Now there is something. There's a huge monument placed there by Delta Sigma Theta Alumni Chapter. Am I right? Am I right? The first memorial erected on representing slavery and freedom, erected on federal ground. It's the first, done by African American women. Go to Valley Forge. Go to Valley Forge. Be proud of our women. And let me just say a few more things and I'll skip on. Time is short. Whoever told you that there was a 7-year-old young African American girl by the name of Mary McDonald at Valley Forge who helped Martha Washington when she came there to help her sister, her husband, General Washington. A young black girl, Mary McDonald, who later resided in the Stephen Smith's home, who's buried today where? In Eden Cemetery. Learn your history. Don't let our women out of our history. There should be a memorial for African American women. Am I right? Who was in the military? Look at this beautiful statue today. I don't see any women. In the words of the old Negro spiritual, the African American spiritual, there's, please don't let this harvest pass. There's one more river to cross. Let that river remove this statue down on Penn's Landing, where white people came in shackles and slaves, where millions of people, or at Independence Hall, are closer to the Museum of Art, principally designed by a black man, Julian Abel. Thank you.
One of America's most beloved comedians of all time, Bill Cosby has captivated generations of fans with his comedy routines, iconic albums, which I have, I think, every one of, and best-selling books, such as Fatherhood. His comedy transcends age, gender, and cultural barriers. Cosby broke television's racial barrier with I Spy, becoming the first African-American to co-star on a television series while winning 3 consecutive Emmys. He created and produced the Emmy-winning cartoon Fat Albert and the Cosby Kid. I know about it. The show, based on Cosby's childhood in Philadelphia, was designed to educate and entertain. The former Navy serviceman's illustrious list of accomplishments includes roles on the children's educational show Electric Company and creating and producing the Emmy Award-winning Little Bill, which is based on his best-selling book series. Perhaps Cosby's greatest contribution to American entertainment and culture is The Cosby Show, about a close-knit, upper-middle-class black family. Cosby said his intent was to portray an American family. Time magazine called the show an encouraging sign in maturity in matters of race. The latest Cosby special, Bill Cosby, 77, was taped on his 77th birthday at the San Francisco Jazz Center on July 12th. The concert will premiere on Netflix at 12:01 a.m. Pacific on Friday, November 28th. Cosby said, as long as you have Netflix, you have the power to stream Bill Cosby, 77, at any time and anywhere with no commercials. Cosby's current bestseller, I Didn't Ask to Be Born, but I'm Glad I Was. Cosby talks about the Bible, being a grandfather, and his first love in his humorous and insightful manner. Cosby has received the Kennedy Center Honors, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, America's highest civilian honor, the Mark Twain Prize for American Humor, and the Marian Anderson Award. Cosby married the former Camille Hanks on January 25, 1964. They raised 4 daughters, Erica, Erin, Ensa, and Evan, and 1 son, Enos, and have 3 grandchildren. The family resides in New England. Without any further ado, please give a homeboy round of applause for Dr. William Cosby. Yeah!
Where did he go?
I'm right here.
Thank you.
My man. My man. Why is there? There you go.
And thank all of you. And I was writing my speech. Those of you who've ever been given a chance to speak, you write your speech before. Then you get there and you find out everybody's saying your speech. I would like to correct the 3-star general's brother. I said some of you have graduated summa cum laude, some magna cum laude, some cum laude, and the rest of you, thank you, Lord. That's what I said. Now, I want to add to this mix. I want to add to this mix the importance of the important, sure enough, go down the alley with you, white people. White people who you can trust to go down the alley with you. Because you're not going to get there by yourself. And there are white people who stood against their own people to say that they were wrong for what they were doing to the colored Negro spooks and whatever other names they wanted to give. Now, did all of us join together to make it unanimous? No, because some of us were afraid we would lose our jobs. Some of us were told by our bosses, no, you go over there, you might as well not come back here. But there were others, along with white people, and they're in the book as far as getting the money, as far as staying there, so that when this statue, I don't know if you know it, Tamika, well, come here. Tamika, what was the lady's name who gave you the what's the lady's name who gave you Carol Lawrence gave Tamika the history that there were 4 studies done of this statue. One of them had 12 figures, and the people cut it in half. Said there's too many Negroes. Too many Negroes. And you cut it in half. So, Tamika, if you will put together a search party for the other 6, good. Now, there's a Mr. Woodson. What's his name? Marshall Houston, who does not want to talk, but Marshall Houston, let me put it where it's supposed to be. The first place was 23rd and Pine. 23rd and Pine, they put the statue there with the colored people. I mean, the statue. And it was on the edge enough of an Irish neighborhood. And they put it where it just looked awful. Black and colored and Negro people and whites raised sand to keep from cursing. and they moved it. Charles Blockson, our historian, used the correct word. They took it from 23rd and Pine and they hid it. See, that's us. That's us. We are the children, the grandchildren of these people, and they took our ancestors and moved the statue with half of what it was supposed to be and hid it. Where did she go? No, it was what, 48th and 42nd and Parkside. Now wait a minute. Behind Memorial Hall. Now, you all, maybe you know where Memorial Hall is, but the gentleman described it perfectly. He said he was a child and they used to play there. And they didn't know what the statue was about. Because he said he thought it was a regular old statue. That's because we're famous for not looking up. So the children played, and then he also added that nobody told the children what the statue was about. Am I right?
You're right.
So it was of no consequence. They're just playing around a statue. It wasn't until...
40 years.
And who?
And the All Boys Memorial between the 20th and the Parkway.
But they didn't move it by itself. See, here's my point. Here's my point. I was brought to the Richard Allen projects by my mother and father because they were poor. I didn't have any money either. Living on Parish Place, 10th and Parish. There was a place called the Center. At the center, there are 2 basketball baskets. And there was also a cement piece, profile of 4 black children, colored, Negro, whatever, 1944. And they're like this. And underneath it says, lift every voice and sing. If the piano player will now begin to play that slowly, don't stand up and don't sing. If I can just lower your sound a little bit. Just keep playing till I say you can stop. There you go. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if we needed a place to bring home our colored soldiers, somebody should have said, you got the Raymond Rosen? Am I right or wrong? Could have been a great home there. You got the Richard Allen homes. Am I right or wrong? And then there's some neighborhoods that are not housing projects. They sit right outside across the street from the projects. Those lots cost nothing. I have a friend of mine who loves to tell a story about living in Louisiana. And he said we had dirt roads walking down the street, and one side the colored people couldn't, and the colored people couldn't, and the colored people couldn't. He said, and they had two fountains. He said, and one fountain was said whites only, and it was shiny and it was polished, and turned the knob and the water came up smooth. On the other side said colored only. It was rusty, and the children darn near drowned because they didn't know what side the water was going to hit them in the mouth with. And there was weeds growing all around it. And every black person in the room said, that's right, that's right, that's right. And then he sat down. And I got up. And I said, let me ask you a question. Why didn't you clean your fountain? That's your fountain. Polish your fountain. You've got black men and women know how to fix pipes. You know people can polish. You know people can take a screw and turn it and take it off And the next thing you know, trim the grass. Trim the grass. This is your fountain. And I know crazy white people. They will see this fountain shining better than theirs. And the next thing you know, they'll switch the signs. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not just about the brown and the black of us. It's about the white of us. It's about the Chinese in us. It's about the Japanese. It's about the people. Some of these people will embarrass you. I remember running track for the Quantico Marines, and we left the base in Quantico and had to stop in North Carolina to get something to eat, and the poor coach didn't know that there was segregation. And we all got off the bus, and I was thinking, I don't think this is right. It's only 4 of us on the track team. So we just kept walking, and we got to the door, and the woman said, oh my God. She said, these 3 can't come in here. And there's 2 guys from Villanova started yelling and acting like they wanted to fight, and we had to grab those boys and say, shut up. We'll be fine. And they went in. We've never had so much, but they still went in. And we went back to the bus and we sat there, and there was a black woman. Said, you boys follow me. She took us round back. She said, what you want? We said, well, we want the cheeseburger and the fries. The next thing I know, she's giving us these burgers. It's about 1 foot tall with watermelon stuck all in the middle of it and a pig's foot. We went back to the bus and we were drinking iced tea out of a mayonnaise jar. Those boys came back and they had hamburgers about the size of their fist. And we sold them the other half of our burgers. I love segregation, especially when it's played by us. Now let me just tell you, this statue, all of those heroes, men and women, who didn't come back, who did not come back, today, here, I want you to hear this story. It's not about a military man, but it is about us. And it's about our legacy. See, so many times we count on white newspapers to tell us who's important and who isn't. We need to stop this. That's why half of the history is somewhere in some place and you can't find anything. And then by the time you get to old people can't remember what happened, we no longer have a history. Now these 3 children who came up here, they were fantastic. But you need to just smooth them out a little bit so they don't frighten so many people. They don't have to whisper, just don't yell. Some of us, 80, 90 years old, say, what's all the fuss about? It's important for us to understand the following story, which goes with the statue. There's a fellow who played football by the name of Fritz Pollard. Fritz Pollard was a bad little dude and Negro-colored African-American, sure enough. And he ran all over everybody and around him. He wasn't strong, built like Jim Brown. He just ran all and tricked everybody. Show him a leg, and next thing the leg was gone. Fritz Pollard. Fritz Pollard then went on and joined with George Halas, and they founded the NFL. Fritz Pollard was pushed out of it all because of the color. No, it wasn't the color of his skin. It was the color of the people who pushed him out. So they keep saying, well, I was this because of the color of my skin. No, you pushed out because that white guy said, I don't like his color. Nothing wrong with your color. They sit in the sun long enough. So it's important for you to understand that Fritz Pollard later went on and coached at Lincoln University, which is called the Black Princeton. The reason why it's called the Black Princeton is because Princeton had no photographs of the people they accepted. And so the boys that scored high, because it was an all-boys college, showed up, and some of them were black. And they were told right away, you're not going to be happy here. And so there's no cell phone to call your parents. They bust them over to Lincoln. And that's how Lincoln got the name, the Black Princeton. Because all of the bright boys went over there. They had to. Now, Fritz Pollard, ladies and gentlemen, we honored him, the Black Athletes Hall of Fame. And this man in his 70s, I was the MC, when he got up, oh, he was so handsome. Wavy gray hair and black mixed in, the tuxedo, and still looked in wonderful shape. And he came up and the whole Waldorf Astoria standing ovation, Howard Cosell. And I handed him the trophy. And he held that trophy. Now here's my punchline. I'm coming to my punchline, and this is about us and about all the men and the women. He looked at it, and the applause subsided, and the people sat down. And he said, I thought you had forgotten about me. Am I making sense? We don't forget about ours. And we don't leave what ours have done to others to keep our history. Teach, teach, teach. Let every minister, every morning before getting to Jesus, get to that which God has made. Just give 2 sentences, which ministers do, period. It's important for us that this man who played around the statue also said, nobody told us to look up and see the importance of it. It's here now. It's here now. And I want to see tour buses coming to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Call your friends, call the elderly before they die. Tell them to look up, because this is Philadelphia. And tell them to go over to the museum and look at the little teeny plaque with the black man's name hidden. Hidden. No more. We're bringing up our own, and we're looking up. Your children need to know the difference. And if the schools shut down, bring them into your home. Bring them into your church. Bump the people off the street corner and have your sessions there. Give them some place to understand. And when they say, well, that was before my time, you look at them and you say, yes, darling, that's why I'm telling you about it now. Don't let them walk away from you. Don't give them anything to just say, I won that one, because some of them do it in ignorance. Why did you join? Why did you go over? That's because there's something in your heart about this earth, about this family of yours. And you know, so many of you, men and women, if you don't go, they may come here. If you don't go, they may come here. And you may not be respected by mentally ill people looking at your color and saying something wrong. Let them. Just don't touch me, that's all. And don't get in my way. You understand? Because there are people like Lewis Katz. Lewis Katz go any place down a dark alley and he will not turn around and run. So there are those who have helped, who stayed and are still fighting. This statue is here because of a few, and it's going to stay because of a many. No more. I thought you forgot about me. No, we remember you now. And all I want you to do right now is I want you to go deep into your heart right now. And I want you, when I say do it, to call out the name of someone who left their life for us over there or died coming back here. I want you to go deep to the woman, to the man. Do it. Let me hear you. Let me hear you. Take care of yourselves.
Now she's sitting up here in red, looking pretty fabulous. She is the First Lady of the 7th Senatorial District. She is my dream girl. Watch it now, Dr. Cosby. You stay over there. She's over here, all right? She's the First Lady of the 7th Senatorial District. She is my dream girl. The one and only, no baloney, Cheryl Lee Ralph.
In Hollywood, I'm known as Cheryl Lee Ralph, but in Philadelphia, I'm known as Cheryl Lee Ralph Hughes. And today, we lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Because today is a glorious day. Last year, when my husband did his rounds across this city for Veterans Day, we came here and it was a dark and dreary day with just a few gathering of people, and my husband, Senator Vincent Hughes, Chair of Appropriations, looked at me and said, "Boo, next year, it's gonna be a whole different thing." And so in memory of his father, a Navy veteran, James Hughes, for his son, West Point graduate, Lieutenant Alec Hughes, and to all of the veterans, including my uncle, Sergeant O'Neill Ralph and Sergeant Wilfred Ralph, this is a day, this is a monument to be remembered, to be respected, to be seen, to be taken care of.